Okay, welcome in, everybody. Hope you're all well and hope you all found us. You're watching The Slate. We are a DraftKings show. We take you up until 6 o'clock or just shy of 6 o'clock on this Monday, May 22nd. Brendan Glasheen, Jeff Ulrich, your normal Monday folks for this program. Matt LaMarca wished to join the show. I think I know why.
Well, I was asked if I could
Oh,
join the show,
oh,
and I was only happy to enough to agree.
oh.
So I don't want to make it sound like I was just voluntarily coming on just to trash the Celtics, but when the opportunity arises to trash the Celtics, you take that every time you can.
First of all, I apologize because I'm going off of Eamon's words because words are everything, people. Good afternoon. LaMarca wishes to rub salt in Glash's wounds, so he's along today. And I like this way, not will preview. And he can preview the Western Conference Finals almost like if he so chooses to come on and do that too. But the first part was what stood out to me. So
let's just call a spade a spade. The producer thought it would be great for the video
Good
that we
ratings.
get someone just on here bashing the Celtics. I would have done that myself, but
yeah,
that's more skill because he's more versed in the NBA. So there you go.
all right. So why don't we do this? We'll do the basketball first, and then we'll work our way into hockey, which is later tonight. Carolina, Florida. Florida's up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. We can do basketball first. We'll do some hockey with Jeff and work in some golf thoughts as well. Charles Schwab. What is it? It's not the Charles Schwab Open.
Charles Schwab Challenge.
That makes more sense. This Charles Schwab Challenge. Brooks Koepka got a victory yesterday, so we'll work in some golf before we go. All right, LaMarca. What do you want to do? You want to do Celtics Heat first, and then we'll look ahead to tonight?
Why not? We might as well. I
All right.
feel like that's
Built it
kind
up.
of the
Let's
bigger
go.
talking point at this
Okay.
point. And I think what surprises me the most is how surprised people are that the Heat are winning this series. Now, I did not think that the Heat would be up 3-0 at any point or any stretch of the imagination. I thought that this was going to be a hard-fought series, right? But Boston was never going to overwhelm Miami with their talent. Miami is just not that type of team. Jimmy Butler is not that kind of player where he's going to back down. He is ready for a fight every game, and this team has completely just adopted his mentality. They are the living embodiment of the X-ray of the chest with all the dogs inside of them. Okay. Like they are just, that's who they are. And I think that game 3 exposed a lot of what you've heard as like whispers about the Celtics. It's all they're not being whispered anymore, right? Joe Mazzulla, not necessarily a competent head coach. Jaylen Brown, not necessarily happy with his situation in Boston, right? It's been a lot of stuff. Like Joe Mazzulla literally came out and said that he felt he had lost the locker room, which is really hard for a first-year coach of a team that's really good to do. Like the Heat have officially, it seems like, broken this team, right? And I think at this point, not only is it going to be nearly impossible for them to come back and win in this series, but I would be surprised if this team doesn't make changes in the offseason. It seems like there's just too much now, right? Maybe it's just the small thing of they get rid of Mazzulla, they bring in somebody new, but something like trading Jaylen Brown, I don't think is going to be off the table for them. And I'm not sure what direction they go in if they do decide they want to trade Jaylen Brown. We'll have a whole offseason to potentially discuss that. But I just think that the takeaway here is you don't beat the Heat unless you show up and you are willing to play to their energy level for 48 minutes. And, so far, really, nobody in the East has been willing to do that. And we'll see if anyone in the West is able to, right? I mean, whichever team, be it Denver or if you still believe in the Lakers, whichever one of them comes back and wins, if they advance to see the Heat in the finals, it's going to be the same story, right? Like the West team is clearly going to be more talented than the Heat are. It's just whether or not they're willing to do all the dirty little stuff that the Heat have absolutely thrived in all postseason.
Two alarming quotes from last night that I read. Jaylen Brown, this is from Gary Washburn, who writes for the Boston Globe. Jaylen Brown is biting his tongue from telling his truth, not the truth, his truth. You can tell he has a lot on his mind. There's some real issues in that locker room. So it's not really a report, I guess, that last part, but it's just a feeling that Washburn got from being in the room. Malcolm Brogdon spoke a ton today, which I'm starting to wonder. Malcolm Brogdon's like, this is not what I signed up for. I thought I was joining a defensive first basketball team. It hasn't been defense first. A lot of backtracking by Boston, but I don't know, Lamarck. I don't know what they're going to do. I guess the good news is if the Celtics have to make a really difficult call with the coach, they can at least look at it and say, well, the NBA, the culture the NBA has set for head coaches, you can move off a coach and no one's really going to get on you for it. So that's what they do have going for them. I
feel like teams in these situations tend to overreact way too much. Like, yeah, it's disappointing that the Celtics are about to lose, but they're in the conference championships. Like, they're better than...
Yeah, but they've been there.
No buts. They're better than what? How many teams are there in the NBA? I can't even remember. 30? They're better than 26 teams. You know, like it's...
No, I know. I got you. But when you lose like that, and when when the team itself, the players themselves are calling it embarrassing...
Sure, but teams grow. I mean, how do you expect the team to learn and be embarrassed and come back better next year if you don't keep some semblance of structure? You bring in a new coach. Maybe guys just like tune it out and be like, everything I learned last year, I don't need to. Like, I don't know. I'm not pretending to be an expert here about the situation or the coach. Yep. I'm just saying in these situations, I feel like teams tend to overreact too much. The Celtics are really good. They're a young team.
I think the problem is the context, Jeff, right? Like if they were just losing and the mentality was, they played better than us, we'll be back next game, blah, blah, blah. Like, and they were, using all the right lingo, so to speak, it would be different.
That's basketball.
The Celtics just waved the white flag after their last game.
Yeah, at least Milwaukee had their best player was legitimately injured and had to miss games in the series.
Basketball players are about the drama, though. Let's be honest. Like hockey players don't talk like
drama.
that.
There's no doubt
because they're hockey players. The basketball players talk like that because they're about the drama. That's my take. I just think back to the Avalanche. They got spanked in the playoffs when everyone thought they were going to win, and they came back and they won the Stanley Cup. I don't know. Anyways, again, I'm not trying to be some expert on the coach or saying like it's a bad decision. I don't know enough about it. I'm not going to lie, but I just feel like teams tend to overreact. It's a young team. They'll probably be back. They should keep the core together.
And for the record, I don't necessarily think Mazzulla is a bad coach. I mean, he got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, to Jeff's point. I just don't think he's a coach that matters. And the threshold for being a coach that like matters is so high, right? Like Spoelstra matters. Greg Popovich matters. Steve Kerr matters.
Yeah.
That might be about it.
So that makes Jeff's point in terms of, well, those guys are all where they are because they've been given a very long leash to be where they are for a long time.
But also to Lamarcus' point, if you could get one of those guys, sure, go get them. But if you can't, then maybe the better situation is to give your guy another shot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I made a Patriots comparison to it. I'm like, Bill Belichick just brought in Bill O'Brien to like help run a certain section of the team. Maybe that's what the Celtics do. And they go get Frank Vogel to be like the timeout manager, the defensive manager. Doc Rivers, when he was here and they won a title, they had Tom Thibodeau, who was their defensive mastermind. So maybe they add and they let Joe Mazzulla grow. But as far as the mix has been together now for more than a half decade. Tatum, Brown, Smart.
As long as they're using a higher bar than Bill O'Brien, though, should be okay.
Right. I didn't mean the actual, like, how good he is. I meant, like...
Actually, Bill O'Brien's actually, like, a pretty good offensive coach. He wasn't the great... it wasn't my favorite head coach, but he wasn't Matt Patricia. Well, I shouldn't be.
But I'm glad Lamarca brought this up about Miami. Folks keep doubting what they can do. but they challenge the challenge in front of them is Denver. And I think Denver's got two superstars that are in their primes. Jamal Murray is a dude who lives up. He's the opposite of what Tatum and Brown have been in these 3 games. He lives for the moment, like Jimmy Butler, plays better in the playoffs, elevates his game to another level. But I look at that Denver team, and they've got a bunch of nice role pieces, more name familiarity than Miami's role guys. Not anymore. Like Gabe Vincent is suddenly career high 29, goes for 11 of 14 from the field. Suddenly he's like a name. LaMarca, when you pick apart, and we can look at Denver, LA for tonight, Lakers are favored, 3-point favorites for tonight's game. Is this done tonight, or can the Lakers? So the Lakers are just an old team, and the Lakers kind of are what they are at this point, right? Like they have sucked every ounce of what they can be. I think the Lakers have overachieved to this point.
Yeah, I think the Lakers have some chess moves left still to play. I mean, the biggest one is just get D'Angelo Russell out of the rotation, and maybe that's the type of move that Darvin Ham doesn't have the coaching resume to actually do, right? We know that LeBron and Anthony Davis kind of dictate what happens with that team, but the Lakers are just getting absolutely killed whenever D'Angelo Russell is on the floor. He's too much of a negative defensively, and he's not bringing enough to the table on offense to make up for it. So I would have him just not even out of the starting lineup. I would take him basically out of the rotation at this point. And I do think that if the Lakers do that, it would help them in this series. But the track record of teams that are down 0-3, I mean, we know that no team has ever overcome an 0-3 deficit in playoff history. It's something now like 0 for 149. But even just in recent years, since 2005, when teams are down 0-3 in the postseason, they're 32-40-4 against the spread in game 4. I think just the mental hurdle of knowing you have to accomplish something that's never been done is just too much, right? Like consider the Lakers' momentum tonight. If they come out and play their best and win, then they just have to go to Denver for game 5 and beat them there, which no one has done all playoffs. So it's
like for winning, you get more pain.
Exactly. And you have to travel, it's like, let's just start our vacation now almost. Yeah. So I'll take the Nuggets plus the 3 points. I'm sure that's on the chalkier side today, but the Nuggets just, have established themselves late in games when they've needed to, right? Like that's the thing about this series is all 3 games have been competitive. It has just been really the fourth quarters where the Nuggets have pulled away. It was Jamal Murray in games 1 and 2, and then it was Nikola Jokic in game 3. And I think that, watching this series for the first time in my life, I looked on the court at LeBron James and said, man, this guy has lost a step. And it's not an insult to LeBron. The guy is, played more minutes in the league than anyone. Yeah. It's only natural that he has slowed down a little bit. And unfortunately, the rest of the team, be it Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, especially D'Angelo Russell, they just have not been able to pick up the slack since LeBron really can't do it all by himself anymore.
I'm with you definitely on how I'm looking at the game. One prop I am playing tonight, and I haven't done any research for this. This is purely narrative. I'm going to take LeBron over 24.5 points. I just feel like I know he's been shooting poorly. He's looked a little slow in this series, but I don't know. I mean, I think if anyone is going to come out and just like do something a little extraordinary, that's what it is. And we're also getting a little bit lower point prop. We've seen like 25.5, I'm pretty sure, previous games. I don't know. I kind of like it. I feel like LeBron could just come out, get some early points here. I think we get a close, high-scoring game, and then maybe the Lakers don't pull it out, but I feel like LeBron will be there. So
Is that
You
true?
can tell me how
Mark?
stupid that is, Mark, if you want, but that's kind of one narrative I'm playing here.
No, I don't hate that. I mean, you're taking the greatest basketball player of all time to score 25 points in a must-win game, right? Like
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
I
That's
think that's
basically
pretty
it.
reasonable.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not overthinking it. That's it. That's my
What has been his has the market been around 24 and a half, or it has been higher? His
been
point
higher. It's been 25 and a half.
Okay. Where's
Yeah,
Anthony?
and he did make a couple threes in game 3, right? He knocked down he brought his 3-point percentage up to around 18% for the series as opposed to 0, which it was entering game 3.
There you go. It's feeling it.
For me, for props, I really like the idea of building a same game parlay and just taking all the D'Angelo Russell unders. I really think he plays, he played only 20 minutes in game 3. I think that number is even lower in game 4. So I'm just taking all the unders that I can on a D'Angelo Russell prop.
What would be your favorite under if you were doing like one prop?
If I was only taking one, I would just take the under on his PRA prop, which is 17 and a half.
Right.
More to work with for sure.
Yeah, and he's not a guy that piles up assists or rebounds anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like that number, even if
he could go like 13, 1-1 or something, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are they offering that market for D'Angelo Russell? Oh, there it is right there. Pardon me. 17 and a half. Yep. Okay. There it is. Sorry. Okay. Juiced up to minus 145, but all righty. Wow. No, and you've probably heard the stat by now, everybody. Teams are 0 and 149 when down 3 games to none in a playoff series. Any playoff series, conference final, first round, whatever it may be.
I think the crazier thing too is only 3 teams have even made it to game 7.
Yeah. Right. So just after 6, it's definitely over. More often than not.
It's tough. But hockey and basketball, I mean, they're physical sports. The guys get tired. Like Lamarcus said, the reward, like baseball, it's you relax, you're sitting in the dugout half the time. It's almost like fun to keep playing, but like these guys are tired, man. Like they've been playing a long season already. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that you just see so few of those kind of comebacks in baseball and basketball and hockey. And I think that's pretty much the reason why.
All righty. I mean, of the Final Four, though, for me, in terms of what hasn't been talked about enough, I give Miami their props for sure. Denver's a very good team, and I think Denver was not given enough of a shot. Miami certainly wasn't given enough of a shot based on what the market was entering the conference finals. If you took Miami to win the series...
We talked about Denver a little bit during the regular season. I think people kind of forgot about how good Jamal Murray was.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Nuggets playoff struggles the past 2 years can be attributed to the fact that they did not have him available, right? The last time the Nuggets had Jamal Murray, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. Like
that was the bubble against the Lakers.
Exactly. Yep. So I felt the Nuggets were being disrespected all year. I thought that the hatred of them, and the fact that other teams had better odds to win the West was kind of wrong. And it's nice to see that has kind of played out. The East has just been wild. Never in a million years did I think that the Heat could do what they have done this postseason, but the combination of their toughness and the fact that it seems like they kind of were playing like at 60% during the regular season. It just threw a lot of people off the scent, right? I think most people would have said that Tyler Hero was their second best player, and they haven't even had him in the playoffs.
Oh, stop it. Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, 15 of 22 from 3.
Don't forget about the Strus goose.
Yesterday. Strus has been good too. I'm just saying that trio was 65% from deep. They have played well. They've made shots. I thought just regression, period. Forget the opponent in Boston. I thought the Heat would come back down to earth. Nope. They're good. They're very good. Jimmy Butler, 16 points. Bam Adebayo, 13 points. But Jimmy makes the right play, and Jimmy's got that team believing. Jimmy Butler, hell of a player. I've had enough of this. Let's go to hockey, unless anyone has any more thoughts.
No, let's move on. I'm sorry for taking up so much time, Jeff.
Okay.
Well, my name's not Jeff.
Coming onto your Monday show and just throwing down all over it.
Right. Hey, we only got so many more basketball games left. It's okay.
It's true. We're not going to be talking about basketball for possibly 9 days at this rate.
I mean, hockey's in the same situation. Both these teams are up 2-0 as well. So, I mean, we could have a long hiatus. Maybe talking about lacrosse next Monday or something. Who knows?
Yeah, love that. No Canadian teams left, by the way, Jeff, in the NLL Championship Series. It's Buffalo and Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the Edmonton Rush didn't make it.
No, well, now they're the Saskatchewan Rush.
Right, Saskatchewan Rush.
Yeah. So
Forgot.
Yep. Carolina, Florida tonight. Florida looked awesome. Carolina was great though, really, for what most of that game.
Carolina's
period.
Yeah, Carolina's outshot them. They've taken both games to overtime. Probably could have won game one without overtime. But the series has been super close. But the Panthers have the high end scorer and Matthew Tkachuk. He's made a difference. He's probably the best player left in the playoffs. They've gotten slightly better goaltending, although you can't really fault the Hurricanes goaltending at all. I don't know where to go here, man. I mean, I got a lot of respect for the Hurricanes, and I think that is where I would lean tonight, absolutely, on the money line. It's hard for me to envision the Hurricanes getting swept, but I don't want to fall into that trap of, teams can't do this or not giving Florida the respect. I'm going to lean very gently to the Hurricanes, but I'll be dead honest. I kind of just like looking to the props in this series. I've hit the nail on the head in terms of play the under so far. I would lean towards the under on the total again, because I don't know. I mean, like fading Sergei Bobrovsky at this point, I thought he would regress in this series. He clearly hasn't, but if there's ever going to be a point, with the Panthers up 2-0, the Hurricanes absolutely do or die. If they get on him early tonight, this could be it. I'm going to stay with my Hurricanes lean. That's what I liked when I first looked at this game. That's where I'm going to go here. I think -110 is pretty fair. I think if the series had been split 1-1, you may even have seen the Hurricanes as slight favorites here. So I can't say I hate that at all. If you want to get a little bit better line here, I know we've seen overtime, but the 60-minute line on Carolina as well, or even just going to the alt line and playing them as the puck line favorite, I think has a little bit of interest for me. So yeah, +140 Carolina, 60-minute line. Again, I mean, Carolina has outshot the Panthers. They've outchanced them. They've just been a little bit snake bitten in terms of puck luck and, run into a hot goalie. But there's no reason why Bobrovsky can't have one bad start to a game or anything like that. And I just think Carolina is too good not to put in like the full maximum effort here. And I could definitely see them just catching the Panthers a little bit off guard at this point. So lean Carolina. Don't have like a strong take on the total for this one, even though we've hit the unders in the first two. But if anything, I could see Carolina just exploding a little bit here because they kind of feels like their shooters are a little bit due. So
so unlike the NBA, we've got 2 3-0 scenarios, but now that we're at 2-0 with Dallas and with Carolina, any feeling on what team you might lean from a future standpoint? Would you be willing to dabble on one of them down 2-0, or is that just you're staying away because you've lost any kind of confidence, or the number doesn't live up to any value, has any value remaining?
No, I mean, we're getting +750 and +800. Look, in the playoffs last season, we saw a team in Tampa Bay get down 2-0 and reel off 4 straight games. I mean, look, Carolina and Dallas were my picks before the series, so there's certainly some value left. It's kind of hard for me to pick between which one I would like better. Just looking at the way the series has gone, I think if Carolina wins this game, they have a very real shot of going back 2-2, because I still feel like they've carried the play. The Panthers defense has allowed a lot of chances, and just looking at the stats, you say like there's a path here for Carolina to do it. Bobrovsky has a bad game. The Carolina just, get their shooters just pick it up just a tiny bit. They could win 2 games in a row. The other one is a little bit more interesting. Dallas has been really up and down all playoffs. And if they're not going to get a huge edge in goal with Ottinger, I just have a little bit less faith there. But like, again, I mean, we're talking about a goalie in Aiden Hill who knows when that's going to end. So I definitely lean the Hurricanes. If I was going to pick one, I think that there's still something there with them. They did get Teuvo Teravainen back. I think he could eventually make an impact for them. So yeah, I would say if you're looking at the futures, I would lean Carolina. But this isn't like when Tampa Bay did get down 2-0 last year, it was, you kind of felt like there was a real shot for them. They were playing an inexperienced team in the Rangers. They were a very experienced team. None of these teams have won championships. None of these teams have even been to the finals. So you don't really have that kind of experience to lean on. But Carolina is the most seasoned of them all. And I think they were also like the best, in my opinion, in the regular season. So if anyone's going to do it, it's probably them, but don't have strong comeback vibes this year. I do like Carolina though tonight. And looking at player props, I mentioned Teravainen. If you're looking for a shot on goal prop, over 1.5 shots, I believe it's minus 135. Teravainen should get lots of opportunity here. He's been back for 4 games now. Carolina should have a mandate to shoot the puck as early and as often as possible. They've got to break Bobrovsky this game or it's over. So I'd look at some Carolina shot on goals props, and that's one that definitely stuck out.
All righty.
Does it matter to you, Jeff, that the Stars haven't played at home yet, but the Panthers but the Hurricanes did? Like, to me, being down 0-2 when you've played 2 road games and being down when you've played 2 home games is completely different.
It's weird because the Panthers have been better on the road in the playoffs. And Carolina's been just a very good road team as well. So I'm kind of just going by what we've seen so far and how these teams have kind of reacted in these situations. The Panthers kind of had some let up against Toronto as well. So you're right, though. I mean, Dallas at home, they've got the 2 home games. It's just the way the playoffs have gone. Home ice just has not mattered that much. And Vegas was good. Vegas had like 1 stinker on the road, but they also, closed out their series against Edmonton on the road. So Vegas was also a very, very good road team during the regular season. I think they were actually the best road team. So I just look at that series. I just don't have as much confidence that Dallas is going to be able to overcome it. When I just look at how the teams line up, Florida to me is the team that could sort of crack, so to speak. But again, I just don't know. There's just not that kind of situation like we had last year with the Rangers and Tampa sticking out. So.
Okay, let's spend a couple minutes before we wrap on golf. Jeff, your reaction to Brooks Koepka being the first live golfer to win an Open championship yesterday.
Yeah, no, I mean, Brooks is an amazing major performer, man. I mean, he brings it for all these big events. He's definitely someone who benefits from the kind of setups that we get at the PGA, which are just these long, tough golf courses. They don't really, what you say, require much creativity. They require a guy who can just repetitively pound it off the tee, who can get it up high out of bad lies, who can hold greens, and who's not scared to go get it with the putter as well. I mean, I think when you really boil down to it, there was probably like 10 people who could have won that event last week. Scheffler, obviously, Hovland had himself in the mix. A couple other guys who didn't perform, Rahm, obviously, but Koepka has just thrived at those kind of venues. And I don't know. He is healthy. I think this is one of the things, like for betting. I mean, Liv just throws a bit of a curveball in it. We know that Brooks is doing well. We saw him at the Masters, but it's also just like out of sight, out of mind. He was finishing top 5 in Liv, but I really didn't know. You can't look at any stats or anything. So he's back though. I mean, Brooks is just like, I mean, we talk about all these other players who could get up. I mean, Brooks has proven it time and time again. He is the man when it comes to these major championships. And I'll throw this out too. Like Bryson may make this two majors in a row for Liv. I honestly have that much confidence that he's going to show up at the US Open. We've seen 2 players really dominate these kind of tracks, and like Bryson is top 5 in the PGA before. He's obviously won the US Open by multiple strokes. He hasn't had as big a sample size as Brooks, but he has proven, like, when it comes to these kind of setups, man, I mean, he is really difficult to deal with. So 2 guys you should not be discounting it when we get to the US Open. I'm sure you'll see some guys like Finau bounce back, but the proven formulas are there, and Brooks is definitely at the top of that list. So,
and quickly, I know you have your golf cheat sheet up right now over at DK Nation for the Charles Schwab Challenge. Scotty Scheffler is the favorite, really clear favorite, jumps out from the rest.
Yeah.
Hovland, Finau, Morikawa follow in line. Early lean, early outlook.
I mean, this is a completely different event from last week. This is a short technical track. It's more about just placing the ball in the fairway. You're not going to get these huge, terrible lies. Everyone's going to have like 150 to 170 yards in on every hole. It's not easy because the greens are going to be firm and last year was actually a really difficult course, but it was difficult from the perspective of you really had to manage yourself around the greens. It wasn't like it's a brutally tough, long course or anything. So completely different from what we saw last week. Scheffler plus 450 lost in a playoff here last year. Scheffler hasn't finished worse than T12 in a PGA event all season. I mean, he's absolutely the deserving favorite. Honestly, if there's anything bigger than like plus 500, I'd probably say you should just bet him. But going down, I do like Tommy Fleetwood at plus 3,000 again. I mean, played really well last week. He's gaining everywhere. I think the fact this is still a little bit of a tougher course is great, but he's played well at other technical courses like the Valspar. I like that number. You can look to him for a top 10 too if you just want to play it safe. But I think that's fine to just stay on that train. I like Max Homa at plus 2,200 as well. He's putted well late, but we've seen from Homa, he can handle these kind of courses well. Really solid in terms of just all around games. So those are 2 guys in that range at the top where I like. I mean, Spieth with the wrist issue, the number's just too short. Hovland coming off being in contention, I just don't have enough love for. Finau's actually a little bit interesting at plus 1,400. He was pretty bad last week, though, and I don't know if I can overlook that. Morikawa literally cannot putt. Sanjay, I would rather just take home at plus 22. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the top of the board. Got a little bit of interest in Burns, too, but Fleetwood and Homa for me at the top this week.
All right, gents. Well, I guess thank you for your therapy availability today.
Man. Hey, look, you're still in it with the shot. I mean, come on, man. You had a chance. Good turn around. Turn around Monday.
Yeah. I'll say this. The Connecticut Sun are 2-0, and they can save basketball in New England. They can save basketball in New England.
Don't doubt the WNBA. Great product.
Maybe we'll find out if the super teams work better in the WNBA than they did in the NBA this season.
Hey, at the end of the day, I know the Celtics don't quite fit this being down 0-3, but if we do get Denver and Miami, in terms of the star player, continuity does matter to a degree. It does matter. Miami especially, and for Denver, they've stuck with it, even though Murray had been banged up the last couple of playoffs. So thanks to Matt LaMarca, Jeff Ulrich, Brendan Glasheen. We do have this show again tomorrow. We're here Monday through Friday. We come to you live after the Madden Sim at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We get up and running and take you up to just about 6 o'clock. We'll have this show again tomorrow. The Sweat starts your day. DraftKings YouTube, Twitter at DK Nation, also on the DraftKings Twitch page at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. See you later.